Title: The Village of Mystery and History, the story that shaped the destiny of a young boy with just a visitation. At 15, Jim stood on the threshold of a decision that would shape his life: science, art, or commercial. His parents wanted him to be an engineer, but Jim was drawn to the pulse of stories, the beats behind the news, and the mysteries of culture. Before he could choose, his mother sent him to spend the long holiday with his grandparents in Abule Ogbe. "It will clear your mind," she said. She had no idea how right she was. Stepping into Abule Ogbe was like opening a hidden chapter of history. The soil smelled ancient, and the wind carried whispers. His arrival was marked by cheers, songs, and laughter, but that joy turned into silence when he refused the first gift. That silence would open the first mystery: the rejected calabash, the stern faces, the sudden tension. Jim drank from the calabash and unknowingly unlocked a journey. Later, his grandfather told him, "You are the first in many years to be tested this way. The ancestors have chosen you." Abule told of the stranger who once rejected the old woman's food. That night, he died alone, not poisoned, but abandoned by destiny. This gift is more than food. It is a pact. Once accepted, you are part of us. That night, Jim couldn't sleep. His dreams were filled with voices from the past, fires that whispered secrets, and walls that blinked. Science meets art, inside the room. Each object in his grandfather's house was part of a hidden technology powered by belief, biology, and ancient intelligence. The truth drum had tiny temperature sensors in goat hide that reacted to human heat changes, rudimentary lie detection. The moonlight calendar reflected lunar angles on the carved date marks, an ancient form of agronomic computation. The sacred mirror used illusion and smoke to distort or clarify reflections based on heartbeats. The bird sculpture had magnetic triggers from the floor that responded to foot pressure. The vibrating mask had hidden bronze strings tuned to distant vibrations, sensitive to specific pitches like storytelling tones. Jim documented them all, sketching, questioning, learning. Through tales and ruins, he learned that Abule Ogbe used oratory resistance. Elders debated and exhausted colonizers with native philosophy. The herbalist University of Abule Ogbe once trained over 200 women in medicine and midwifery. They hosted the first festival of twins, which inspired national practices. The 1912 prophecy was written in symbols only now being decoded. The scribes of the soil ran a palm leaf newspaper during military rule. Jim found leaf fragments, carved messages, and clay stamps. He recorded everything. Every week, a new tale unfolded. These weren't bedtime stories, they were coded truths, full of metaphors that explained science, morality, identity, and governance. Each story began with a chant: Bup, Tinu Agaton O Grave P, Alagbado Ma Acute A Dara, if the day is long, and the sheep stays quiet, the corn will grow well. Jim wrote them, retold them, and began to live them. The fire that spoke. Location: the shrine of As honor. Object touched: sacred drum of heat tones. Jim is led to a sacred grove where a talking drum is hung on a twisted baobab tree. Abule explains it was once used to conduct truth trials. When Jim touches it, it plays a strange sequence, and the flames in the nearby fire pit shift with his thoughts. He's shown a scroll with poems written by a boy named Abule during a military crackdown. The boy's verses were so honest they literally burst into flame when read aloud by corrupt elders. Afraid of him, the leaders tried to burn the shrine, but the fire spoke and spared only the poems. Jim writes a poem of his own and drums the rhythm. The fire brightens. He realizes truth, like flame, cannot be buried. Lesson: your voice is a torch. Use it. The girl with the painted eyes. Location: abandoned shrine of Uja Grove. Object touched: sacred mirror of intention. Jim visits the overgrown shrine where he sees an old cracked mirror framed in cauries and bronze. The mirror shows not his face, but fear, pride, and excitement flickering behind his image. There he learns of Ifema, a mute orphan who painted village happenings before they occurred: floods, births, even the death of a chief. One day, her painting showed a white building in flames, a school that later caught fire. Afraid, people called her a witch. She disappeared. Jim finds her final painting, a boy standing before the mirror, writing, "It's him." Lesson: some stories are seen before they are told. Observe more. Speak less. The river that forgot its name. Location: Odo Icon Stream. Object touched: carved stone calendar. Jim is taken to a dried-up river. The elders say its name was forgotten when people stopped offering oral praise. The river was alive, fed by memory and storytelling. The stone calendar near its bank had moonlight marks that once signaled the best fishing and farming days. Jim notices carvings for specific rituals. When told, sung, and written, they rekindled the river's spirit. Jim writes a poem about the river and sings it aloud. Thunder cracks. By dawn, water trickles back. Lesson, what we forget dies, what we praise lives. The talking wall of oak. Location, Oak Iden Hill. Object touched, wall of symbols bird sculpture nearby. Climbing the hill with village boys, Jim reaches a massive stone wall, etched in ancient Nsibidi and Yoruba symbols. Next to it is the wooden bird sculpture, turning toward him. He's told the wall once spoke only to writers. Every generation, a child can read new glyphs. The wall predicted disasters and victories, but only if read aloud. Past elders ignored it, and suffered a failed harvest. As Jim reads, the bird tilts toward certain symbols. He sketches them, and discovers they spell remember the ink of your blood. Lesson, writing is the memory of a people. Learn the language of the past. The three scribes of light. Location, Isle Aeon, House of Echoes. Object touched, mask that vibrates to sound. In a hollow mud hall, Jim is handed the mask. As he wears it, voices echo, fragments of words and chants from long ago. He hears the tale of three siblings born during a rare eclipse. One was a poet, one a historian, and one a singer. They were separated by war but reunited through coded stories hidden in folk songs, legal records, and lullabies. They traveled across kingdoms, uniting rebels and royals with truth. When they died, their final work became a hymn of peace still sung today, but only in whispers. Jim composes a story poem inspired by the echoes and shares it at a school visit in the village. The headmaster cries, "Lesson, art spoken in harmony can heal nations." The Crown of Ink. Location, ruins of the village council hall. Object touched, a wooden ink crown preserved in a glass box. Jim explores the ruins and finds a dusty crown carved with tiny ink bottles. A plaque reveals it belonged to Chief Adakanmi, a man who resolved 100 disputes without lifting a sword, using only written agreements and parables. He was betrayed and exiled for writing a story that exposed corruption. But his writings live on, secretly read by judges and teachers. Jim finds his final letter, unsigned, "Let truth wear the crown when silence grows heavy." Lesson, a pen guided by wisdom is sharper than iron. Whispers from the mask of memory. Location, the family shrine of ancestors. Object touched, bronze mask of memory. Jim is invited by Abule Ogbe to a family ritual. They bring out a sacred bronze mask that records voices of ancestors. When worn, Jim hears overlapping voices, his great-grandmother singing, an uncle warning against injustice, a child crying out in 1967 during the Civil War. Each voice is marked with emotion. Jim writes them down and becomes the new voice keeper of his lineage. Lesson, history is not what is written, it is what is remembered and retold. Dreams in the Sky Reader's Scroll. Location, IIR's hut. Object touched, sky map scroll in indigo and gold. An old woman named IIR gifts Jim a scroll drawn with stars. She was once the royal dream interpreter. The constellations mirror the ambitions of the person who reads it. When Jim stares, he sees a path of ink, crossing rivers, cities, and ending at a great library in Lagos. IIR explains each dot is a storyteller who must rise. You're not alone. Others await you. Jim sleeps with the scroll under his head. His dreams tell him the stories he must write. Lesson, even the stars wait for your story. The boy who drew nations. Location, village school wall. Object touched, an old mural hidden beneath paint. Jim and some kids repaint a wall at the school. Under layers, they find a mural of villages in conflict joined by a single child's sketch of peace. They learn about Taiwo, a boy from 1978 who drew both sides of a civil war and presented them as human, not enemies. His art touched leaders who called a truce. Taiwo vanished after his last painting. Jim redraws the mural, updates it with modern scenes, protesters, farmers, elders, artists. His final touch, a boy with a pen standing tall. Lesson, the real map of a nation is drawn in compassion. Path of the chosen pen. By the end of summer, Jim is no longer confused. His art path is clear, but it's more than drawing, it's public history, storytelling, and digital preservation. Elders bless him and give him the nickname, Akamolayan, the writer who brings legacy. The return. Back in the city, he becomes the bridge between the old and the new. He launches a blog, abuletales.com, a YouTube series, Stories in My Grandfather's Voice, a digital archive of village knowledge, the rise of a digital Griot. His influence spreads. Teachers request his stories. Elders applaud his accuracy. Media houses call him the modern Griot. He's invited to conferences. Sponsors flock to his page. His work funds his brothers, restores the village library, and starts a storytelling scholarship fund. Jim returns to Abule Ogbe to inaugurate a new center for storytelling and indigenous science. He stands beneath the same Iroko tree, now older, wiser. I thought I came to visit the past, he tells the crowd, but I was really discovering our future. We must not just teach children to read stories. We must teach them to write them, live them, and become them. I am Jim Adepaju, keeper of stories, and the voice of a village reborn. For more interesting stories like this, kindly subscribe, like, comment and share on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at Okikila Literary World. Thanks.